Hi, it's Kimberly, and welcome to Grace, Truth, and Love, where I offer Christian women education, edification, and encouragement on their walk with Christ, with a special emphasis on women over 50 like myself. However, women of all ages are invited and encouraged to be a part of this community. So, Happy New Year. We are already well into the new year, and so I'm a little bit behind. I can't believe we're already mid-month. I pray that your new year has started out well. Mine has. And it's really given me a lot of opportunity to reflect on last year and think about where I want to go, where the Lord is leading me to go in this new year. And I wonder if many of you are having those same thoughts and reflections and feelings as well. I don't know about you, but have you realized that as we close out one year and step into a new one, that we can often, sometimes consciously, sometimes without realizing it, begin to put a lot of pressure on ourselves? January in particular can feel loaded with expectations. We want to change this or start that, stop something else, and learn something entirely new, an entirely new way of doing life. And nowhere does that pressure show up more than in conversations about our bodies, our health, and our wellness. There's this quiet or sometimes very loud message that says, now is the time to get it all together. You can look everywhere and see specials at gyms, and everywhere you turn, there's just a push to reset your body, to fix what isn't working or somehow get back to who you used to be. That's not to say it's not important or it's a bad thing to want to improve our health. In fact, I'm a huge advocate for healthy living, and I do have my own health goals for myself this year. But there has to be a certain amount of grace built into our lifestyles, especially as we grow older. And that's why here at Grace, Truth, and Love, we're going to do something a little different over the next few weeks. I'm beginning a new series called Wise Wellness, and it's a calm, faith-centered approach to caring for our bodies after 50. We're going to be talking about health for women over 50, but not through extremes or trends or pressure. Instead, we're going to approach this season through wisdom, stewardship, and grace. And this video right here is the foundation for the whole Wise Wellness series. Have you noticed that your body doesn't respond the way it once did? If so, you're not imagining it. You know, I'm someone who's loved exercising and going to the gym and really taking care of my body for years. And over the years, starting when I was very young, I've always had a routine, something that I go into the gym, I work out and do my cardio and my upper body and my lower body and just have my routine of what I do. And over the years have changed things a little bit here and there as my body has changed and as I became sort of accustomed to one thing or bored or whatever, I would change it up. But I noticed after probably about age 50, the things that I once did just didn't work at all anymore. I was not getting the same results. I had more soreness, more discomfort, more fatigue in doing what was always so natural and so reliable. And it just wasn't working anymore. Are you someone that can say the same thing? Have you noticed that your body doesn't respond the way it once did? Well, if so, like I said, you're not alone. You're not imagining it. However, the answer isn't for us to fight against our bodies, to push harder, to do more, to try to command it into this shape or condition that we're accustomed to having or leading our body into. And the answer isn't to fight against your body by doing what we did when we were younger, or just as unhelpful, to give up altogether. There are ways that we can shift along with our bodies rather than working against them. But before we talk about daily habits and weight and stress or routines that can help us with all of this, we need understanding, because understanding brings peace. So we need to talk about what actually changes after 50 and why for so many of us, what we used to do, the old approaches, simply stop working. So if you felt confused, frustrated, or discouraged in your health journey, then this video is for you. Today, we're going to bring clarity, peace, and a new framework for caring for our bodies in this season. One that honors where we are now and not where we used to be. So let's begin. So I was telling you about my gym experience, how what I used to do just doesn't work anymore. It just stopped working. And that was, years ago when I crossed the 50 threshold. If you've discovered that your body isn't responding the way it once did, even when you're making an effort, well, it isn't unusual. For many women after 50, this can show up in a lot of different ways, like a fatigue that lingers, changes in our weight or strength, or routines that once felt healthy but now feel draining or even dangerous. It can be confusing, especially when we're still making efforts to take care of ourselves. What's important to understand is that these changes aren't personal failures. It's not us not working hard enough. They actually reflect real shifts that happen in our bodies as we age, particularly for women. And when we understand what's changing, we can respond with wisdom instead of frustration. And that's why this video matters. This conversation lays the groundwork for the Wise Wellness series. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to talk about practical habits, realistic expectations around health and weight, and the role that stress plays in our bodies after 50. But none of that is helpful unless we first understand what is actually going on beneath the surface. And here's the big truth. Our bodies after 50 don't need a reset. They need wisdom, respect, and support. And that starts with an understanding of what exactly has changed. Because when we understand our bodies, we stop fighting them. And when we stop fighting them, we can begin caring for them in the ways that they need. One of the most significant shifts in this season, and I'm sure many of you can attest to it, is hormonal. And as our estrogen declines, our bodies begin to process stress differently. Also, our blood sugar becomes more sensitive. Inflammation can rise more easily, and recovery, both physical and emotional, just take longer. This doesn't mean our bodies are failing. They're adapting to a new season of life. And in addition to all of those other things, our metabolism naturally slows and our muscle mass begins to decrease unless it's intentionally supported. And our muscle, it isn't just about appearance, the way maybe we thought when we were younger. Our muscles play a role in our balance and our strength and in our energy and how our body uses fuel. So when we feel more tired than we used to, when weight feels harder to manage, when exercise feels draining instead of energizing, this isn't a lack of discipline or willpower. It's a natural biological shift, assuming that there aren't any underlying health issues that need to be addressed with your doctor. And I do encourage you to check with your doctor if you have a health concern. But even when everything checks out medically, many women still notice that their bodies simply feel different. And that brings us to another major change in this season, and that's stress sensitivity. Our nervous systems become less tolerant of constant pressure. So the things that we used to push through, they don't just pass through now. With age and wisdom, some of those things that used to bother us just sort of roll off. But other things can linger longer in our body, affecting our energy, sleep, and recovery. Stress affects sleep. Sleep affects hormones. Hormones affect energy, mood, and weight. So when someone tells you to do more or try harder, that advice actually works against our bodies, not with it. Our bodies are no longer wired for force, they're wired for wisdom. This is why so many women say, I'm doing what used to work, but it isn't working anymore. That disconnect or misunderstanding about our bodies can lead to frustration or self-doubt or even shame. But shame doesn't promote health, and it definitely has no place in a faith-centered life, right? This season invites us to release an old way of thinking. Health after 50 isn't about control, and it's not about discipline through deprivation, and it's definitely not about reclaiming a younger version of ourselves. It's about stewardship. Stewardship means listening instead of fighting, supporting instead of pushing, honoring instead of criticizing. It means asking better questions like, how do I care for my body well in this season of life? That question alone changes everything. When we shift our framework, the goals shift too. So instead of thinness, we value strength. Instead of extremes, we choose consistency. Instead of constant effort, we prioritize recovery. Instead of pressure, we seek peace. Now, this doesn't mean lowering our standards. It means choosing the right standards for now. You know, I've talked to many women who quietly grieve the body they once had. They don't always say it out loud, but they feel it. That loss of ease, predictability, and quick results. I mean, we've all felt that in some form or fashion. And I want to say, if that's you, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that grief. But there's also a freedom in letting go of unrealistic expectations. We're not meant to spend the rest of our lives competing with our past. We're meant to live wisely in our present. Scripture reminds us, for everything there is a season, Ecclesiastes 3:1. And this season calls for a different mindset than the seasons before it. Caring for our bodies is not vanity, it's not selfish, and it's not indulgent. It's gratitude in action. When we care for what we've been given, we honor the giver, God Himself. And when we treat our bodies with the same patience that God extends to us, our bodies often respond with greater stability, resilience, and strength. In a way, it's as if our bodies are saying, thank you. So that's all I have to offer today in this foundational video for the Wise Wellness series. But I do want to offer you this, that it's important to know that our bodies, they're not resisting us. They're communicating with us. And when we respond with wisdom and grace and patience instead of force or frustration, everything begins to shift. This video is just the beginning of the Wise Wellness series, and in the weeks ahead, we're going to talk about daily health habits that truly matter after 50. We're going to reframe weight and expectations, and we're going to address the hidden cost of stress and how faith supports our healing in this season. So it's going to be a lot of really wonderful content. And to walk alongside you, I've created the Wise Wellness Workbook. It's a free workbook that I designed to help you just slow down and reflect and gently apply what we're talking about in this series without pressure or without overwhelm. It's a lovely workbook that you don't have to rush through. You don't have to do everything at once. It's simply a space for clarity, prayer, and wise care. Like I said, it's free, and you can find the workbook linked below. If this conversation resonated with you, I would love for you to like and subscribe and walk with me through the Wise Wellness series. There are so many people who are watching but don't actually like or subscribe. It really helps if you do that to help spread the word out about the channel to reach more people who may benefit from this content. Thank you so much. Next time, we're going to talk about simple daily habits that support our bodies after 50, again, without pressure or exhaustion. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And in all you're getting, get understanding. Proverbs 4:7. You are not behind. You are right on time for the wisdom this season offers. And you don't have to walk it alone. I'll see you next time on Grace, Truth, and Love, God willing. Have a beautiful day. God bless you. Bye-bye. I'll be outside.